Look, if you're trying to scale past 10, 20, 30K a month, but you just can't, you genuinely can't. Like you can book appointments, close deals, you can do whatever, your front end is locked in, but you hit 13K, you hit 22K, you hit a 30K month, and then you go back down. You go back down to 7K, you go back down to 12, you go back down to whatever, 20. It's constantly an up and down and up and down and up and down. Shit's just not consistent. You hit a good month, then you're back to normal, and then you work your ass off again, and then you go hit another big month again, and then you go back down, and you keep oscillating between the top and the bottom and top and the bottom, and you generally have no fucking idea what it is that you're doing wrong. You know, you're about to you hit the peak, then you hit the low, you hit the peak, you hit the low, you hit the peak. I know exactly how you feel because we have all fucking been there, right? I take a sip of this coffee because that shit reminds me of some PTSD trenches, right? So in this fucking video, I'm gonna show you the exact psycho-cybernetic hack. Not hack, but like just knowledge, right? Just knowledge that I used that allowed me to kind of train my mind into going exactly where I wanted to. So this video will consist of mindset, but also systems, right? I'm not a fucking mindset coach. I don't know mindset, right? But I'll show you guys what I used and the tweaks I made within my mind that allowed me to kind of break past the ceiling and set myself a new baseline, right? Because what we want to do is if we keep fluctuating and oscillating between 15 to 5, 25 to 15, 30 to 20, 30 to 18, whatever it may be, if we want to go past 10, 10 needs to become our new baseline, right? The way we operate, the way we think, the things that the things, the systems that we have within our business, the people that we hire, the SOPs that we have, everything. So let's get straight into the video, right? So this is what the board kind of looks like. We have another board here, but don't worry about that one because that one is a little work in progress. I don't know when that'll be posted, but in this video, right, we're gonna go in through this board, right? How I use the power of my fucking mind just to be a G, right? So look, if you ever have questions like, how do I build something that doesn't rely on me being locked in, right? Locked in. I need to be locked in for this to work. I need to work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, man. Like you don't. You really don't, right? If you're thinking, I just hit a peak month and then I fall off, how do I make my agency more consistent, right? How do I systemize my agency so it's more predictable? You know I can scale. I just don't know why I haven't, right? All these things are really, really good. You know what? I'm going to use my pen, man. Where's my pen? Cool, I got my pen, right? So I know I can scale. I just don't know why I haven't yet. Let me just turn this little fucking thing down right here, right? I want to systemize my agency. I hit a low. When I hit a low, I turn it back up and then I hit a high, right? I hit my low month and then I go back to, I hit a low month. I work my ass off, I lock in, and then I hit the high. And then when I lock out, I go back down, right? It happens all the time. How do I run my agency properly? If you're thinking any of this shit, watch this fucking video, right? So before we get into it, the answer is systems built in alignment with identity, your future identity, right? Don't worry about the fucking WTH, right? What the hell? But what the hell? But look, systems built in alignment with identity, right? You need systems, of course, but you also need identity or mindset. And in this video, we're going to be going over Psycho-Cybernetics and the information that Maxwell Maltz wrote within this book. Look, I'm not a fucking genius. I didn't like come up with this shit myself while meditating in a cave, right? Like I just read this book. Well, I read the audiobook, listened to the audiobook and applied it, right? That's all I fucking did. And I just thought about it. I journaled in my fucking journal, right? And I just figured out how I can make it work for me and my agency. That's all I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, right? In this video, we go over both. So we go over systems. We go over systems as well as identity, right? Because we can't just do one without the other. We need to have both, right? So that's what we go over both, right? Look, I'm not a mindset coach, right? I'm not here to sell you mindset coaching, right? I'm just super excited about this thing that kind of helped me out. So I'm here to help you guys out as well, right? Obviously, we do have a consulting business, but anyways, that's for another story, right? So I'm not a mindset coach. I'm an agency owner that scaled to 50K months using systems and the power of the mind. So let's just get started, G. So firstly, you can get appointments, you can close deals, you can somewhat deliver, right? It's not systemized. You're profitable and you have a few loyal clients, right? If you're there, you're in the perfect spot because this means that you don't have a discipline problem. You don't have a motivation problem, right? The biggest problem is getting from 0 to 10K. Once you've hit 10K, then you actually have all the skills required to scale to 50 as well. But the only thing holding you back is the identity that you were in between 0 to 10K. That's it, right? And we're going to go into that in this fucking video, right? But for some reason, you keep hitting a ceiling, right? You hit 10K, then you drop. You hit 20K, then you drop. You hit 30K, and then you drop. This means that you know how to scale. You know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. You are capable, but you're either comfortable where you are or you might be both. You're comfortable with where you're going. You're uncomfortable with where you're going. You're either comfortable where you are or you're uncomfortable with where you're going, right? So look, you're not scared of failure because you've already gone to the 10K mark, right? You're uncomfortable with expansion. Now, what does that mean? This is where it comes in. Psycho-Cybernetics teaches us that the mind is like a goal-seeking mechanism. It's like a GPS, right? Your brain operates like a servo mechanism. It moves towards what it believes is normal and safe. It protects your self-image baseline, right? And the reason we go into this is before we go into that, right? We need to understand the concept before we apply the concept, right? So what this basically means is that you have a baseline identity of yourself. You have your day-to-day habits. You have the level of control that you have within your agency. You have a few SOPs and habits and stuff like that that you follow within your agency. Maybe your habit has always been rechecking your client's funnel before you start running it, right? Now, those little leaks is what will actually keep you where you are because you're going to subconsciously think that once I have 40 clients, I'm going to have to recheck 40 clients. Shit, because that's the belief that's in your system because of your past self-image, right? So if 10, 20, 30K plus feels unfamiliar and unsafe, you will always self-sabotage. That's why you go up and then you take your foot off the pedal and you go back down, right? And then you're like, shit, I'm low. Then you put your foot back on the pedal and you go up. You keep going through this fucking oscillation of up and down and up and down and up and down. You know exactly what I'm talking about here, right? Your mind will do this subconsciously to protect you. So your mind is protecting you. It's not your enemy, right? You just need to train your mind the same way you train at the gym, you train Muay Thai, you train, I don't know, guitar, whatever the fuck you guys do, right? So this basically states that your nervous system prioritizes safety, which is familiarity, which is past identity. Because your past is what's familiar and what's easy, right? That's why it's so hard to build new habits. Is because we're so habituated to what we were doing before that when we start doing something new, it feels unfamiliar and uncomfortable, right? So your past identity, right? So it's not your nervous system isn't prioritizing more income, more scale, or more clients. It doesn't care about more income. It doesn't care about more scale. It doesn't care about more clients because your mind, your subconscious mind, which controls 90+% of your reality, does not give a fuck about these things, right? Only your conscious mind does, right? Now, because more income, more scale, and more clients, your mind subconsciously believes, right? This is why it keeps self-sabotaging you. This is why you will subconsciously protect you and self-sabotage because your nervous system prioritizes familiarity. It does not prioritize that because more income, more skill, and more clients in your mind is more stress, is more responsibility, is no one can do it like me. If no one can do it like me, it's just like I don't want to hire a bigger team because no one can do it like me. And if no one can do it like me, my client results will dip and then I'll lose my clients, right? And you also have this thing that like I'll have to work 14 hours a day if I get more clients, right? I'll have to do more work. I'll have no time for the things I love, right? Because of all of these things, you subconsciously self-sabotage because now in your mind, your old identity, the life that you had before will now become a life of more stress, more responsibility, more work day, more work. Like it feels uncomfortable, right? Now, what we need to do is make the baseline more comfortable. If you're stuck at 15K a month, you need to make 30K a month so much more comfortable than 15K a month, right? That's how you have to kind of get your mind to move you by itself. You know, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you don't even feel like going to the gym, but you automatically go to the gym because you're so locked in, because you're fucking locked in, right? And locking in doesn't mean working 4 hours, 14 hours a day. Locking in just means locking in alignment with the version of reality that you want to live and living reality backwards rather than forward, right? Let me go more into this. So your brain reads all of this shit, right? More income, more scale, more clients as being unsafe. So it creates resistance, right? So it self-sabotages, right? Now, when you try to move towards something your mind sees as unsafe, you feel fear, doubt, anxiety, sudden distractions and procrastinations. You feel burnout. You feel fatigue. You overthink, right? When you were a kid and when you were fucking gaming, you ever burn out? Hell no. When you're doing something comfortable, you never burn out because you fucking love doing it. You can do it till the rest of the day. That's why burnout is a myth. Like, unless you're running fucking track like 10 hours a day and you're physically fucking burnt out. That's different, right? So this ends up making growth feel unsafe, right? And once growth feels unsafe, you can't grow because It's just a new unfamiliar because it's new and it's unfamiliar, right? Growth feels unsafe because it's new and unfamiliar. It's not because it's actually unsafe. You're not fucking jumping off a cliff or something without a parachute, right? The thing is, growth feels unsafe because it's new, because it's unfamiliar. Anything new, any identity that's new, a new habit that you bring on, it's unfamiliar, right? Unfamiliar territory always makes you feel a bit weird, bit unsafe. Like I went and stayed in China for a bit, right? It was so uncomfortable because I couldn't speak the fucking language, but by the third week I was fine. That's how scaling works as well. Of course, workload increases, but if you're aware that it will increase and you put systems in place in the back end that will help you reduce workload, then you'll be fine. It's all about the planning in alignment with the identity of the future, right? So because it's new, it's unfamiliar, and your nervous system, look, it doesn't automatically expand. Your nervous system doesn't automatically expand, right? You have to consciously do it, right? And it expands when and how do you do it consciously? It expands when the new level becomes normal. If you're stuck at 15K a month, you need to normalize 25K a month, right? And how do you do that? If you want to grow and scale to that level, you don't eliminate resistance. You normalize the new destination, you expand your self image, and you raise your own baseline. And how do you do that? Is through visualization, right? Simple as fuck. Right. And visualization will go in over there as well. But first, before we go into visualization, right now you understand the concept. Now you understand the main concept behind why the fuck you're always stuck. Now let me show you how to fix it. But before we show you how to fix it, we need to set up the pieces. Like when you play chess and you're about to attack your opponent, right? In anything, chess, fighting, I don't know, bro, like sales calls, when you're about to attack your opponent, when you're about to sell the deal, you're about to close your deal, you're about to like throw a combo. First thing you got to do is check the strategy. Right? You got to have all the pieces in the right place, right? You got to have you got to have your rook protected, your knight protected, right? You got to fucking make sure that you've done some research on your prospect before you sell them, right? You got to make sure you know their pains, their dreams, and everything before you do the pitch, right? Same in fighting, right? You gotta make sure you know you're able to read what your opponent is gonna throw so you can counter whatever, right? So this is what we're gonna do before, right? Before we get into the actual super sauce, you need to know thyself. You need to know who you are and what it is that you want, right? Don't go chase someone else's dream, right? Just because someone else wants a private jet, you shouldn't say you want a private jet, right? Your mind doesn't understand money. Your mind only understands feelings and emotions, right? So let me go into this, right? You got to know your why. Now, I'll take you through the sheet exercise as well, which is really fucking powerful, but you got to know your why. Now, for example, if you're on this side of the bridge and there's $1 million on the other side of the bridge, and this is, let's say, like a 10-meter leap or some shit, and there's like a 10% chance of you fucking making it, right? Are you going to take that leap? Probably not, bro. You're probably, if you say yes, you're a fucking retard, but like, you're probably not going to take the fucking leap, right? Maybe you might. Maybe you might. Now, let's say your mom is on the other side and she's about to get stabbed by a burglar. You're gonna take that fucking leap, bro. You get what I mean? So your mind doesn't care about money, bro. Your mind needs a bigger why. Your mind needs a bigger why. Same with your 50K a month, 30K a month agency. It doesn't give a fuck about 30K a month. It needs to know what that 30K a month is gonna get you. It needs to know why do you want that 30K a month, right? Like I said, will you take this leap if there's nothing except the money? Chances are very low. But if your mom's on the other side and she's about to get stabbed by a fucking burglar, you're gonna take that leap even if you die, right? You're gonna do it. Trust me, right? I mean, maybe you won't, but I would, right? So we aren't purely driven by money, is what we need to understand, and finding deeper meaning than leaping is obvious, right? If you find a deeper meaning, then leaping is obvious. If you find a deeper meaning to actually take the leap, then leaping is the obvious decision. Now, how do we find the deeper meaning? You can use a sheet exercise. What is a sheet exercise? Simply what you do is you take a piece of paper and you write down everything you want in life to the bone. You want 2 kids, figure out how much it costs them to send them to private school. You want a dog, figure out how much vaccination costs. You want to figure out, you want to fly with them on a plane. You want to get a private jet. Why do you want a private jet? So I can take my family on extravagant holidays. I can give the life to my parents that they always deserved. Whatever. On the left side of sheet of paper, everything you want, right? Don't worry about money yet. Dog, vaccination. You need to also, if you want 2 kids, how much does it cost to, you got to understand how much does it cost to raise a kid? What does a kid need, right? Diapers, they need food, they need this. You want to have a wife, like, oh, you want to buy her bags, you want to take her on holidays every year. Like, how much time do you have to spare? All that shit. What car do you want, right? How many cars do you want? Why do you want those many cars on one sheet of the paper, right? And then once you finish writing on everything you fucking possibly ever want in life, then on the right side, you write the dollar amount, research it, figure out how much this shit actually costs. and then you find a number value. Now that number is no longer linked to just a number. Not, I just want to make $1 million. Now you know exactly why you want to make $1 million, right? That's what's super important. Like how much money you want to spend in the agency. You got to figure that out. Now this gives you a deeper why, right? So once you have a deeper why, leaping becomes fucking obvious. Now once leaping is obvious, and you have your why, and you know thyself. Some people may not even want a jet, bro. Some people may just want to travel in economy because they like it, right? That's why you got to know your why. You can't follow somebody else's why, right? Because if this was someone else's mom about to get stabbed, you might jump, but it's more likely you'll jump if it was your mom getting stabbed, right? So you got to figure out your why, right? Then it's two things. Number one, you got to understand, you got to ask yourself, what does a perfect business owner look like to you? Not to anyone else, to you. And you got to figure out, what does a perfect business look like to you? And we'll go into business owner first, right? You got to understand the qualities, right? Is he confident? Is he convicted? Is he patient? Is he brave, et cetera, right? What does the perfect version of you, who's that business owner, what does he look like? Is he patient? So does he keep following up with his fucking leads over and over again? Is he confident and convicted? So how does he close on sales calls? Is he brave? Does he launch those ads? What does that look like, right? Go deeper. What are his hobbies? Maybe he likes Muay Thai. Maybe he likes to go train in Thailand for a bit. He likes to train 3 hours a day. Let's keep that in mind, right? Is he in a relationship? What type of partner does he have? Is it a Layla Hermosi, or is it someone that like Grant Cardone has, or is it like a girl that's just there who just sits on your bed and does fucking nothing, right? What type of partner do you want, right? You got to go deep into this shit. Now, once you understand that, then you want to understand, what does a perfect business look like to you, right? Because you want to build your business around your life and not the other way around. Right? You got to make sure that the business works for you and not the other way around, right? So once you understand like their hobbies, are you in a relationship? Are you a gamer? Like, what the fuck do you like? Do you like to travel? You like to go to clubs and bars? And like, what do you like to do? Like, I like to go clubbing. I like to go and get absolutely smashed here and there, bro. Like, I party like a fucking degenerate. So I like to leave myself some time where I can party like a fucking degenerate and keep something in my budget where I can buy tables and splash cash. That's just what I like to do. But some people don't even drink. And that's okay, bro. Figure out what it is that you want to do, because you don't want to lose your lifestyle. You still want to live the life that you want to live in alignment with your future, right? I'm not going to be a degen 7 days a week, right? But here and there I will, because like I like it, right? And I'll do what the fuck I want because it's my business and it's my life, right? My life, right? Now, you want to be specific with, what does a perfect business look like to you, right? Specific. How many clients are you working with? How many hours do you work a day? How much money are they making? How much money are you making? Once you understand this and make sure that it's in alignment with this, right? So it's like, if you're going to the gym, maybe like 5 hours a day, or let's say 3 hours a day, right? That means you only have 24 hours in a day. So you got to understand, like, and you have a girlfriend, you want to go out there on dinner like 2 hours a day, right? Let's say, for example, your partner, right? You can't be working 16 hours or some shit. So you got to understand, okay, if I only want to work like 5 hours a day and I want to be making this much money, then you got to go refine your offer and your pricing, right? You got to hire some people. You got to delegate ASAP. You got to instantly ask yourself that, the version of me that's working 4 hours a day, is this a task that he would do, right? If it's not, then you write up SOPs and then you delegate, right? Look, how many closes do you need per month, right? How many closes do you need per week? How many closes do you need? How many appointments do you need for those amount of closes? And how many leads do you need? Maybe you need 100 leads, which is 10 appointments and then one close. That's for example, right? That means you want to make 10K a month. Your offer is 5K. Then you need 200 leads a month, right? You know that now. Excuse me. How long does it take for delivery? Let's say it takes you 6 hours for delivery and you only want to spend 4 hours working. Then you delegate 3 hours, right? So that's how you do it, because now you actually have a fucking vision, right? Now you're no longer scared of things like, I don't want to hire because I'm scared they can't do it like me, because you're thinking too short term. It's like, I have to hire for the life that I want to live. I don't give a fuck if they can't do it as well as me. I'll make them. I'll get them to do it as good as me. How? Who is needed for delivery number one, and what do their SOPs look like if I want to have that level of fucking standardized delivery, right? How many hours do I train them? What do I need to track? What SLAs do I need to track, right? So you got to understand all of these things, and then you can fucking visualize. Right? People just say visualize. Visualize fucking what, bro? You know what I mean? Like, were you going to go and visualize a Lamborghini when what you really want is a Porsche? No, like that won't you won't want to go there, right? You want to visualize having like 5 girlfriends when you only want one. So it's like, I mean, if you're a girl watching this, just flip the script, right? Or if you're gay, good for you, right? But what do I need to track? How many hours do I train them? What do their SOPs look like? Who is needed for delivery, right? Now, if you want like information on exact SOPs and whatever, whatnot, just message me on Instagram. But this should help you enough because at this point, you already know what SOPs are, you know what SLAs are, you know what KPIs are. If there's more information about that you need, just watch some of my other videos where we go into like actual building SOPs and how to do it properly, et cetera, et cetera. But once you figured out what a perfect business owner looks like to you, what does a perfect business look like to you? And you've built your business around your life and you've understood thyself, you know your why, and you've understood the concept of psycho-cybernetics, right? You've understood all of this shit, then you visualize. This is when you fucking visualize, which comes all the way from down here, right? Now, when you visualize, what do you visualize? Maybe deals closing without you. Maybe back end running without your input, right? Clients winning without your input. You're hitting 50K a month. How do you feel when you hit your first 50K a month? You close your eyes. Where are you? What are you eating? What are you wearing? What watch do you have on? I got my fucking Rolly. I visualized this way before I got it, right? And once I got it, I was excited for a bit, but then I was like, you know what? Of course I got it. So driving a Rari in Europe, presidential suite while closing a 12K deal, and delivery is all automated and delegated, right? You're doing calls with your senior team / ops manager who run your pods, et cetera, et cetera. You're on a date with your partner and your closer piffs a 12K deal, right? So this is where we put like your lifestyle first, but we also put the systems next because it's like cool. I close my eyes, I visualize, I'm in my Rari, I'm in Europe, I'm fucking driving it around this bend, and then boom, I get a notification that from one of my clients to say, yo, I just closed a 12K deal. How did they close a 12K deal? Because of the coaching calls that I had with them, right? This has happened so many times with our mentees as well. So I hope this video has been of help. And I know for a fact, if you take even like fucking 5% of what I said here, like seriously, you are going to change your fucking life. Like, you're going to change your fucking life. Look, if you want any more information, you can book in a call right below. If you want like in-depth information, but if it's just like a little short question, just let me know on Instagram and I'll probably make a video about it because I need some new fucking content ideas. But look, I hope this helped. I'm gonna try to do more and more of these. Hopefully, inshallah, we'll see what happens, right? Anyways, I'll see you guys soon, and you guys have a wonderful fucking day, and let's fucking scale. Let's fucking go.